Debut sports, man, I cook them many times. They scream as loud as they can. They're like, this card's perfect, it's great, and it shows up and it's like a piece of crap. It's a bad experience.
And I think we lose a ton of new people like that. All right, guys, solo show. Jesse is still out of town, so I'm going to take this one today. I say solo. I have Nick Andrews, the Boston card hunter, joining. I do want to get his perspective. He's kind of, I guess watchdog is not the right term. I guess he's been a little bit more controversial, though, in the space with his YouTube and TikTok and Instagram Reels and that type of stuff. I do want to get his reaction to the Probstein thing. We've had some more allegations and issues come up with that, so I do want to talk about that. I also want to just get he kind of made a statement last week on his socials that he's going to be going after auction houses, and I would like to know what the actual answer is to that. And just kind of some other stuff in general. I do want to press him too. I mean, he's announced on his LinkedIn he's working for Fanatics. I think his content has obviously changed because of that, which is fine. I have no problem with people bending the knee, so to speak, when they get like a real job in the space. So I do want to know how that impacts what he's been doing, though. I'm curious if he'll respond to that, or if we'll have to kind of keep that off the record and cut that out. But I do want to talk some release calendar too. It's been a crazy slow couple of weeks for sealed product, and then all of a sudden Topps has come out in December and it's going to be absolutely loaded. I know there's multiple non-sport releases too, but you're talking like I think starts the 3rd of December if I'm not mistaken. It's like Archives, Heritage High Number. We've got Cosmic Baseball, which is a massive release. Topps Chrome Update, which is a huge release and it has the debut patches. Then we've also got Topps Chrome Basketball toward the endish of December. So it is weird. I think we're gonna have another cycle where it's like we've been slow the last week or two with releases. We're going to be slow the next week or two, and then all of a sudden stuff's just gonna hit and crush, which is gonna be pretty busy. So I'm curious how the market's gonna respond to that too. And then it's like we have people with the holidays and people with their families are spending money on other stuff. So I'm not sure I don't know. I guess I don't love the choice of, hey, let's release all of these in the month of December. I think it just makes people have to make decisions with their wallet that normally they don't have to think of. Like, hey, I can buy this product or I can buy stuff for the kids and the vacation we're going on, end of the year crap and taxes, all the other stuff. So I do wonder how that will impact it. But it's definitely shaping up to be the busiest December that I can remember, at least in the last recent few years. And then the other topic I do want to definitely dig in on is like where we're at in the hobby. You know, I see people, we've talked about on here a little bit too. I see people have been speaking about it as well. I just finally started seeing my first round of content guys on YouTube and Instagram mentioning like, hey, these $2,000 stimulus checks, that's going to lead to this massive bump. I don't know if that's actually happening or not. I don't know anything about politics. I never pretend to. But just the thought of, hey, we may have some extra money laying around. Is that going to cause this spike? And we've been talking about it here for a while, for months now, that grails have especially been on the move. You know, we've talked about Kobe and LeBron and Brady and Jordan and Mahomes. Those things have been moving for sure. And now we're even starting to see that trickle down a little bit to other areas, maybe not grails, retired GOATs, but some active GOAT-type players, and their pricing starting to come back. And so it is kind of it leads to a weird space in the hobby where if you're just in it because you strictly collect cards and you never want to flip and make a profit and do the buy and sell game, then it doesn't affect your life at all, right? That is the great thing. If this is only a hobby for you, strictly a hobby, then it doesn't matter. Like, you're never selling your PC cards no matter what. Fine. Like, that's great. It makes it a little bit more difficult. I guess it does affect it a little bit. You can't buy as much right now because pricing will increase. Pricing has increased, quite frankly. But other than that, very little effect to you. I think if you're in the flip game very actively, it's a weird time because we saw this in 2020 and 2021 especially. Like, yeah, there can be some great money-making opportunities if you're buying and flipping, but we also saw in 2022 and 2023 people really got caught holding the bag. And so it is a weird time, and that's where I find myself kind of with a foot in both worlds. The collector in me, like, hey, I want to go out and collect Brady cards and Griffey's and Bill Russell, Larry Bird's, my PC stuff. I want that stuff. I am super hesitant right now to buy anything because what I don't want to have happen is, yes, I love a card, I fall in love with a card, and I buy it. In 6 months, or maybe 6 months a little short-sighted, in 12 months, though, the card is down 30% because we see this V-like pattern where everything was up and then it really dips hard. And then because it's climbed up so much, it drops way off. And yeah, it'll come back kind of. I hate that thought. Just I don't care that it's PC. I don't ever like the thought of, I almost feel like I just got suckered. Like, hey, I bought at the top of the market, and it dropped way off, and now look what I own this card. I love the card, but I love it less because I paid, I bought it at the height. And, of course, right on time, my wife just said, hey, the groceries are being delivered. I actually got Hannah and Theo out of the house, which was fantastic because we're recording at home, and she just texted me, hey, the groceries are getting delivered, so my 2 dummy dogs will have, no doubt, ruin the audio for the next few minutes. But I still, there's just, I don't know if it's a competitive thing or what it is. I buy it at the high, I just have this feeling toward the card. I'm like, I almost don't like it as much as I would normally. And the reverse has been true recently also, where I've said, man, I start to look at the market and the trends, and it's not just these crazy one-offs. The LeBron selling for, the Jordan Kobe selling for $12 million, the LeBron selling for $10 million. I don't care anything about those cards. That means absolutely zero to me or anybody in the world I live in. These investment guys want to come in and throw their wallets around, and Kevin O'Leary and Shine want to say they're starting a fund. I don't know a real human being in the world who cares about that. It's a cool headline. We talked about it here. Headlines are fine, but I don't know any real person, myself included, who has any effect. Like, at no point do I say, hey, these 2 bald guys are buying cards for this crazy amount of money. I should do X, Y, or Z because of that. It will have no impact on my life, on my spending habits or selling habits. But what we've started to see are the big players in the actual hobby space. Because there are guys in here with tens of millions, if not more, in actual cards that have been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years and have played the game. And I'm starting to see those guys get crazy active too with, hey, and I think a lot of people who listen have seen the posts. Never thought I'd do this, but offering this card up in a Facebook group. Let me just see what kind of offers I can get. Or, hey, I rarely sell, but I'm throwing a few cards on eBay. I've seen more and more of people like that who very rarely sell say, hey, you know what, I'm going to piece out a couple things because the market is so high. And so I start to wonder, and I don't have the graphs and charts brought up because we did that last week, and I'll ask Nick about his perspective on this too. But it's like, so we start to hear 2 different angles now. Seeing what we've seen, now it's either, hey, the sky is falling, everything's going to zero, none of these people are going to be as good in 20 years as Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, whatever. Or in baseball, like, Trout is not the next Griffey, and Judge isn't. I get some of that. I also, though, and again, I think this is one area where I start to differ, and this does impact my decision-making. I don't have to be correct to have an idea of what I think the market will do. That's a useless way of saying that. I wish I had a better way. There are instances where I don't agree, I don't like something, but I'm also smart enough to realize, so what? Like, for example, the repack thing. Repacks come up all the time in the hobby and in hobby conversations. I don't like repacks in general. I almost never buy into a repack. Now, we do the digital stuff with Arena. I'm not talking about digital repacks. I'm talking about, hey, these repack buyers are going to card shows and clearing tables, and they're just building out these repacks. It's inflating this market, and repacks are going to fail and all this other crap. And I look at that and I think, yeah, I don't like repacks in general, but I see the people who are involved in them and the investments that's come in and the activity, by the way, and I don't think it's a situation where I don't love it, but there's a huge chunk of the hobby that does, and maybe they don't have a microphone, so they don't stand up and make videos every day about how repackers are going to ruin the hobby. They just simply buy into them, and they love it, and they're going to keep doing it. That market was... The breaking, for example, is another area. So many people have been whining and complaining about breaking's ruined this, and it's the downfall of the hobby, and all these other things. I don't speak on the breaking a lot, because obviously I'm biased. I've made more money breaking than almost anything else in my life. But I've always sat back and like, yeah, I'm glad, this small, loud minority hate it, but the quiet majority obviously like it. Look at how busy break rooms are every night on eBay Live, Fanatics Live, whatnot, TikTok, Instagram, people just breaking on YouTube. It's clearly not going anywhere. Doesn't mean you have to like it. And again, there's certain things I don't like most breakers, but I can also realize I don't like it, but I'm still going to put money and attention into it because I think it's an area that's going to continue to grow. And so that's kind of where I've found myself at this crossroads now of, hey, I've got all these cards that I really like, and a lot of my PC I do not have doubles. I've kind of been very strategic in building the PC for the last 15, 20 years of I love to have individual cards. I've never been one of these guys man, I want to have the biggest run of Jordan PSA 10s or Larry Bird PSA whatevers. I've always been man, I just want to have a crazy cool PC, stuff that I really, really like, stuff that I think will do well long term because either it's very desirable or rare or scarce or whatever, but very little duplicates. I have very little, duplicates. There's just not a lot of doubles in the collection. And so I've started to get to this point over the past couple months, and I've talked about it. Starting about 6 months ago, I look back, we started talking about this. And then this past weekend on vacation, I spent some time, because again, you're sitting around with your phone, and I was like, man, do I think it's going to continue to go up? If that's the case, then I just need to wait another month or two and then maybe move some pieces. Do I think it's going to be just a crazy short window and the day I send 17 PC cards to DC Sports to auction for me on eBay, the market kind of starts to fluctuate, in that short of a window, and then it's not worth it? Or do I think this is a crazy long-term thing, in which case, yeah, I could cash out now and make pretty close to top dollar, but there's not going to be a chance to buy back in because there's so much confidence in the market. And it is funny, very few times have I come on here and said, I just don't know. This is one of those times. I really don't. If you told me the first of the year hits and we see a sharp downturn, okay, I could see it, right? Maybe. If you told me 2 months from now or a month and a half from now, we're rolling around the first of the year, we're really seeing this trend continue and prices are still just climbing. And not only climbing, but more cards are climbing. Like the Griffey, Jordan, Kobe, Brady, all the stuff we've talked about is still going way up. But now the next level. So I'm trying to think what the next level being like modern greats to very good. Stafford is on a run, who I do want to talk about Stafford later. Jalen Hurts is having another great season coming off a Super Bowl. His stuff is starting to climb. Acuna's back and rehabbing well, and his money's starting to... Maybe we see that, and maybe we just don't see anything. It's a weird time. I know what the people say, and I know what the talking heads say. I just think we're also seeing at this point right now, people with a microphone, by and large, say one thing, but the masses in the hobby are doing another thing, and I just think it's interesting. So, anyways, I think Nick is here. We're going to let Nick in. I want to get his take on that, like where we're at with the market, and then I also want to just kind of talk about some of the other issues I brought up. So, Nick, I intentionally wore my white Nike hat. There, I was going to say I took my Boston hat off because I don't want it just to be a shill for Boston in here, so.
I got the funeral one, and I got the regular one. I should probably wear the funeral one.
Oh, boy. Well, that's what I want to tell you. Yeah, I mean, so Nick Andrews, Boston Card Hunter, is here. I kind of gave the intro of, it's Nick. He's a shell of himself. We can admit that. He's a fanatic shill and a shell of himself, and that's okay. We still love him.
It's a sad life.
just a sad life of contentment over there. So let me just set the stage of where we're at in the show. I started a few minutes ago. I do want to get into Probstein, the P. Bryant thing, auction houses, all of that crap. I really want to dig into the scandals. But just for a few minutes, I just kind of laid out in a nutshell that it's one of the few times I consider myself a hobby expert. I've been doing this longer than most people I know. I've been all in for over a decade. I was half in for 10 years before that. And I have people constantly ask me, well, what are you doing? What's next? What do you think? And I think it's one of three things, and I don't really know, which is a weird spot for me. I think, A, I could sell some PC stuff now and just cash out to a degree, wait because it's really high, wait for things to come back down, and buy back in. I think I could do that, and then things just don't come back down, and I'm kind of out the card that I really wanted, but I sold it kind of a high, so fantastic. Or it's such a short window, in 2-3 months, it's not even an issue anymore because things have really settled off that quickly. So if I said, like, gun to your head the next 3 to 6 months, where do you see this thing? Like, what is your answer there? What do you actually think's happening right now?
We definitely have some weakness. I think the weakness I've seen is in vintage, not the high end. That's different. I think the high end's fine, but the middle to low end, even maybe upper middle of vintage, especially vintage autograph stuff, for the first time in like 5 years, I've just noticed a dip, and I'm really glued into that. That's most of what I collect.
Yeah, that's your world.
Yeah, exactly. I have the 86 Fleer set signed, and I'm liquidating, I don't know, man, 40% of my stuff, just because I'm up so much on a lot of things that I don't want to be too greedy. So my 1969 NBA set, those tall boys, I'm auctioning off that actually at Golden in January. I'm taking that off the table because I built it for so little money that I look at the value that it's at right now, and it's just stupid not to take it. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? The other thing too is like we're on year 6 of almost perfection, since COVID.
Sure.
The world's going to break. It breaks every 8 to 10 years. There's something nobody can see. And so like, I'm the kind of guy, I want to be the 4th to last musical chair. I don't want to be the last musical chair.
In other words, you want to sell it because you're way, way up. You think, maybe in a month it could even be higher, but you'd rather just take the safe out now than wait and be the absolute top.
The other part of it too, to be fair, is I'm just consolidating I'm consolidating into my set. And I started a second one like an idiot. And now I've consolidated into one. I've sold some of the Celtics stuff I don't really care about. And I just looked at the stuff that's up and I'm like, do I really want this anymore? I think people do that all the time, Sure. And it was just a good time for me to go through that exercise. I think everybody should, honestly, like once a year.
So let me switch it up this way. Let me switch it up this way then, because I do want to ask this question. I have a lot of stuff PC-wise, and I've always been very, weird. This is one area of my life I'm weirdly organized. This Zion case has my stuff that I'm never selling, period. And some of it is worth pennies, and I don't care. It just is a memory card. Some of it's nicer stuff. Some of it's high-end Brady's. It doesn't leave my house. I show that to friends and family when they're here. That's it, period, nothing. The vast majority of my PC, though, probably 75%, is stuff I would love to happily keep forever and be thrilled with, but I bring it to every show because maybe I can upgrade it or maybe I can sell it for a crazy amount and buy it back. So I guess let me ask it this way, is if you were somebody who said, hey, I have these 10 Celtics cards you would love to have back, but they're also so high, you're into them for so little, I'm going to sell now because I can cash out and make a bunch of money with the thought of wanting them back eventually. Do you think that's realistic, or do you just think if you sell it now, you're not touching it again anytime soon?
Now, just remember, Mike, this is not binary. It's like sell or don't sell, or all your cards or none of your cards. Like
very
you
fluid.
Could shave some off. Maybe you have 10 cards and you sell 3.
Sure.
And maybe you get it wrong. Maybe you get the timing wrong. That's dollar cost averaging, basically, in the form of cards. It's like, exactly. That's how you should invest. You don't just throw $100,000 into your investments on March 13th. You spread, $10,000 here, $10,000 there, and you dollar cost average. I think the same thing with the cards. I think I would definitely, if you're up a substantial amount, like it's house money, you should always, no matter where you are or what you're doing, you could be investing in pork bellies or oranges. You need to take some off the table. It's just smart,
And you think now's a good time then? Like if people are actually, because again, my other argument that I brought up, and I don't know anything about the political side, nor do I care. This $2,000 stimulus check may happen. Maybe we're getting tax cuts next year, and people have more money, and that will kind of continue this propulsion we've seen. What's the thought on that?
Nobody can time a market perfectly. That's impossible. And so the best way to approach this is if you're already sort of wanting to sell and they're going to card shows, again, let's say it's 10 cards. I'd sell a couple of them in the next month, see how it goes, sell another couple in the next month, or even spread it out longer. Maybe like one in the next 2 months and then one in the 2 months after that. I think it's smart. It's not going to go up forever, but me and you could be wrong. Like I'm not trying to predict the flow of what can happen politically. That's nobody can do that. But what you can do is control the flow. So, I mean, if you're up, you have money on paper. You can control that. You can control receiving some of that money right now. And I would take some off the table.
Yeah, I was interested too, and I don't know how much you want to get into this. Like, obviously, you made the thing a couple weeks or last week about, hey, the sky is kind of falling. I mean, I'm summing that up. It was like the sky's falling, and then there was a pretty good retraction, which I have to think was corporately motivated. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's not a different Nick a little bit. I know you're still outspoken. Like, how much of that plays into, hey, I really think this, and hey, this is the message people are trying to get out. Like, in other words, Fanatics is obviously projecting strength in the market. They're in this for the next 20 years. Long term, I think there's strength, but short term, they obviously don't want to see a dip. How much of that is being pushed by them?
There is strength in the market. The market is a lot of different areas. So what prompted my tirade, which, I have to be more careful with my account, I think, because I got 100 DMs the next day saying they're selling everything from Pokemon to everything. That's not what I intended. I didn't like the funny business at the high end. I just don't like it.
Because of the auction stuff?
It's an old boys
houses?
Exactly. Anything over $1 million. There's just a limited amount of people that bid on this stuff. And, what P. Ryan did, I know he went postal for a little bit, but there's some truth to things people say. And me and people, Mike, like I've heard just horror stories, and
Yep.
I don't like the behavior up there. I told 10 plus people to stay away from high-end auctions for like a month or two. Just to make sure we're all good. I'm sure they're okay. I just want to see the auction houses come together and like be like, here's a lifetime ban for this idiot or that idiot.
Sure.
Not necessarily P. Ryan. Now, that's the high end. And then, I'm friends with Rick Probstein. We connect every now and then. He's been on our old show.
Have you talked to him, by the way,
really
since
excited
this happened? Any contact with him since the Snipe story broke?
I have. He wanted me to hold off because something's coming. So
He's supposed to
expect an
talk today
announcement.
about it, correct? I think he announced he was coming
I'm
out
not
today with some
sure
stuff.
on the exact timing, but I think it's very soon. He's going to have to, but obviously there's lawyers involved, I imagine. So I was really ticked off at eBay because of a card they screwed me on, and I was like, probably overly mad and irrationally mad at eBay because they are like a good option. And I, Snipe was on the table and I was really excited about it. And then this went down. And then I saw the Beckett thing, where 500,000 emails get hacked. And I'm just like, WTF. And I just got so mad at the high end. I'm like, forget it. Like, this is all ridiculous. Now, does this affect your $100 Wemby Prism PSA 9?
Probably not.
Yeah, that's what, a $75 card, right? It might go down to 70.
Sure.
There's no point, right?
There's also 800 auctions ending every couple days. I'm not sure people are shilling up all I mean, maybe I'm naive. I don't think it's happening on that level.
Of course not. Of course not, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm talking, this is the ultra high end I'm talking
Sure.
about, right? Over $1 million.
See, I will say though, I think my barrier is way lower than that. I think people are doing this with $10,000 cards. I don't think
they're doing it with $5 cards on people are
Sure.
doing it with all sorts. I just think the ultra high end is what bothers me the most. Is because, I don't know, it's just like an access thing. Maybe it's because I grew up working class or something. I'm just like, well, screw that. I don't want this like protective mafia, like blocking out bids. And then I just showed, the text from a major auction house. Mm-hmm. Gosh, do I name them? I don't know. It's just really disgusting. And I didn't like it, so I was mad. But it's not like the Kager of sports cards, for your audience, the annual growth rate, it's going to be 10 to 15% over the next 5 years. That's probably better than the market's going to do. And that's everything, your blasters that you're seeing a lot of and the stuff Fanatics is doing. So I think the sports card production is healthy. Breaking is very healthy. It's more just these pockets. Like I see weakness in vintage, and that's weird to me because there hasn't been a drop
never.
in vintage autographs at all, ever.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, well, why? Why is that? Bitcoin's down a little bit. I don't know. I think there's just a lot of factors.
So let me ask you this too. I do want to get to the Probstein thing. You haven't said anything. I mean, I know you guys are friends and buddies, and he's going to come up with something at some point. I thought we actually were fairly balanced. Like the leak is obviously not totally indisputable because there's how many guys with literal screenshots of just information, which you shouldn't have. Like, I don't want anybody just broadcasting my stuff. We've heard from at least 20 to 30 accounts of, hey, my stuff got taken down, it got canceled, hey, I got outbid, there was weird stuff. I think there's definitely smoke and fire there.
Man,
What's the actual Nick Andrews? What's the actual Nick Andrews take on this?
Yeah, I did a reel on this in Instagram that kind of went nuts because I just had it, like I kind of backed them up a little bit and I was very, very disappointed. Very disappointed. And the reason I was, okay, so they got hacked. That is a crime against them. Okay. Yes. Now you could boil that down to incompetence or lack of preparation or whatever. But that is not necessarily their fault. We don't know what happened. Beckett got hacked, But what I did
What kind of cop-out crap is this? Hang on a second. Put on a funeral hat. Like, what is going on here? Of course it's their fault. If my credit card company gets hacked and somebody gets my information, it's their fault.
That's true. It is their fault, but it's like a crime against them, though. It's not like they wanted this to happen. You know what I mean?
No, Nick.
But you're right. So
puddling on air here. This is not good. Okay,
I'm going to say some damning things in a minute.
Thank goodness.
You know what I did, Mike? I talked to a whale who I won't name. He started to enlighten me on rules of auction houses and how they vary by state and how auction houses, even though they know your reserve, they could potentially be allowed to bid themselves on it. And it started to get really complex, and I did research, and New Jersey's interesting. If you explicitly state that you could bid on something, that could be in a terms and conditions that you accept or something, that's allowed. And I don't know. So we can go to the bad stuff now. The screenshots that were leaked show Rick's email address is bidding. It has to be software based because they're seconds apart. Bidding on items as low as $20, as much as $500. But even worse, and I don't know why these guys are sharing it. It's like people in the hobby's email addresses. And so the leak is awful. And this is my biggest problem with the whole thing is the lack of rigor and the lack of communication. This should have been addressed like within an hour.
Agreed.
Of this happening.
Yep.
And I don't.
Yeah, and we even said here, like, Rick, you can come. I don't know Rick, and I've never spoken to him. Dude, you're welcome to come on here anytime. Like, that's an open invitation to, I would argue, one of the biggest, if not the biggest microphones in the hobby. We'll do an SI article about it, like, get on the record. He won't do it.
Snipe's cooked. Snipe will not come back from this.
I think
Rick
he's
will be
back
fine.
I think he's back at eBay by the first of the year. That's where my
maybe
money's
he goes
at.
back to eBay. Maybe he just takes some time away.
No
just
shot.
does something
Too much
else.
money. No shot. I mean, maybe, but
But Snipe's done. It can't recover from this. It's too damning.
yeah. And again, there's one contention where it's like the sky is falling. We're seeing all that. The other contention is, well, it's not that big of a deal. I think, like most things, the truth is somewhere in the middle. I think there's some, like, I have been super hesitant to bid on anything. Like I just told you, anything over 10, $5,000 on any platform now. I'm like, you know what? Let me just wait and see. Because I also think as this stuff comes out, people are clearly emboldened to continue to do it. Like that's just how the world works. They see people
What's
make
making
money.
you hesitate, Mike? Is it you see prices going down in the future, or you don't like the behavior? Or
I don't like the behavior right now. I don't like that. And I've said this for a long time. I don't think there's that many reasonable voices in this hobby. Like, I think people are either the whole sky is falling, everything's going to zero, and I have no use for those people. Because those people are saying this 10 years ago when I started breaking. Not them, but new people have come along. And it's like, yeah, but there's so many opportunities on the way up, and you can pick your alleys and stay away from some of the crap. And then the other people are just, everything is fine. Everything's perfect. Don't worry about anything. And I know that's not the case. There's stuff to worry about. But when I hear people, and some of the people we know as well, mutual friends, it's like our acquaintances, hey, I'm a little nervous bidding on a $5,000 Brady card because I've seen the last few sales. And then I look and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to wait too. Why rush right now?
Yeah, it'll be
just
very
a lack of
interesting
confidence.
to watch. Now there's a bull market everywhere. I mean, I'll give the audience a cool example. So I'm a TTM guy. I don't even know if you know what that is, Mike, but that's
through the mail.
Through the mail. Yeah, like
was
we
it
did
really?
that as kids in the 80s.
Yep. Yeah, send an
you
envelope,
mail
self-addressed
players
stamped
cards.
envelope. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'll give you an example right here. I've got 386, for those on audio, I've got 386 Fleer cards here. They're PSA 9s. These cost me, I don't know, $50 to $100. The players, if you stick a 20 in there, especially these ones, and you can look it up on different websites, they'll sign the card. If it comes back at PSA 9, which is a gamble,
Sure.
It's worth like a couple grand if you come back a 910, And so for me, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm just trying to upgrade my set and make it better for my son who's going to have it. But, if you're like a 17-year-old kid, you could probably make 10, 20 grand doing that. I don't have time for it, but I'm doing it more for like an actual hobby. But there are pockets like that you can think smartly about,
Yeah, I don't have. That's why I mean, like, and again, I kind of get back to the reason. I think there are some things that are widely spoken out against, and I gave the two examples earlier, breaking and repacks, that I'm not bullish on entirely, even though I'm a breaker. I think in general there's a ton of crap breakers. I'm in on some repacks. I think the vast majority are dog crap, but I don't think those parts of the industry are going anywhere. I think there's so much money. I really do. Yeah, please?
Can we talk about repacks?
Absolutely.
We haven't done
Go
that
nuts.
yet.
Yeah, let's go.
So I think the cool thing about having somewhat of a business background is you can look at this, step out of the collector's shoes for a minute and look at the companies in this space. And I think you look at the liquidity event, right? So like COVID was a massive liquidity event, meaning ton of money came in to the hobby because we're bored or getting back into it or whatever. Massive. Probably will not be duplicated again. Hopefully, hopefully not with a virus. But the next massive liquidity event that happened was the repack companies, and the breaking companies. So, Whatnot has its valuation. Now it's worth more than PSA. They're worth $13 billion now. PSA is probably worth 5 or 6. And part of Whatnot is Repacks, and then Arena Club is valued at, I think, $5.3 billion. Courtyard IO's printing, $4 million a month. And you'll see kids, they got the same haircut, the same backpack. They'll hit a show. If it opens at 11, they'll go to the show at 10:55. They'll walk up to a table and they'll be like, I'll take the whole table at 80% comps.
Yep.
Load up their backpack. They meet out with the other runners geographically. It's happening in Massachusetts, Florida, Texas, California, and a few other hotspots, Pennsylvania. And they meet up. They pull it together like cash and cards. And then they have a relationship with either a middleman and then Arena Club, or if they're really good and really high end, directly with Arena Club. And Arena Club pays them 100% cups, depending on the card, maybe even 105. So these guys, I've talked to a few of them, they're clearing like 300 G's a month in cash. And some of these kids are like 20. And the reason it's happening is the liquidity from Arena Club. If you go on there to get a pack, on average, you try 5 times. That's what I've observed. And so you're getting 90%, 90%, 90%, 5 times. They're making money. All these companies are making money, and that's a massive liquidity event. But it's predicated on 2 things. 1, the card values have to stay stable or increase. That's number 1. And number 2, the investment money must flow. So they have the commercials with Derek Jeter, and they're able to, sponsor influencers and do all of these things.
Big sponsor of our show, by the way. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yep. So if they stay put, the repack gravy train will run for a little while. I don't think it's going to run more than a couple of years. And then you look at what's the next liquidity event? Is it institutional investing like Kevin O'Leary? That's at the really high end. So I don't know, but that's what scares me a little bit is we are so propped up by, these repack companies, for better or worse.
Sure. Because even on a smaller level, it's not just that. There's 10 of the biggest breakers in the world who are doing $200 million in revenue now as a break company, and they are at every card show as well doing the exact same thing. Hey, we're buying whatever.
Everybody needs supply.
Correct.
And then now PSA, they'll grade your card, they'll take it right back because they want to cut that supply off, man. Grading company, they want to keep it there. They don't want it to go back out and have all this arbitrage happen. They just want to keep it, either do their own repacks, or it's crazy. And if you think about it, it's like, if you're Arena Club, that's actually a very big strategic worry. It's like
PSA.
Well, we need access to these cards, especially the new ones, and PSA controls that. It's crazy. Fanatics controls the production of the card. PSA controls the grading and the slabbing, and then everybody else is just arbitraging it. It's wild.
Yeah, and that's why it popped up in the first place. Repacks have been around for 10, 15 years, not on this level, but it's like, hey, I can only get X amount of cases from distributors. Well, but if I just go buy singles at a card show, I can, we were doing black boxes. We literally had these black little magnetic boxes. We would put a card or 2 in it. We had some branding on it. This was probably back in 2018. Everybody gets a box for $200. Here's the 12 cards you can get, and we open everything on camera. You get, we ran them the numbers. Nick gets box 1, you get box 2, whatever, and you get what's inside of it.
Well, I mean, even when we were kids, Mike, probably in the 90s at card shows, I would remember, they have this now still, this is a gold pack and this is a silver pack.
Little grab bags.
That's like the harmless repack. You're talking under $10 or whatever.
Sure.
And some kid has, my son loves that stuff. It's like a blind bag for a kid. It's fine. But now, it's been warped a little bit to where whether it's digital's interesting because that's based on the Fisher-Yates algorithm. But when it's physical, I have a hard time because I don't know if you go to the carnival with your kiddo, but I go to the carnival, man, and I look and I'll go to the carny and I'll be like, all right, hey, I've already paid my money. How does this game really work? Sure. That's how I feel with the repacks.
Yeah, especially again, digitally, it's like, all right, there's an algorithm behind it. Which some people just decide not to trust, no problem. If you don't trust it, stay away from it. Yep. For me, I've messed with Courtyard a little bit. I mess with Arena Club now, and I rip them on my own. I know the odds going in. I see the checklist. I'm good with it. Even if I get crushed, I know. At least I know.
Ceiling.
Sure. Yeah. My problem is when I go into a break room and it's a guy screaming about comps. It's like there's $1,000 ceiling and a $200 card, and then I see the ceiling card get hit, and it's nothing. Because I will tell you what, people talk about this stuff all the time because I think it's on such a widespread scale. Like Arena Club is huge, PSA getting into it's huge, all these things. I'll tell you, and I told Jesse the next time we're together, so maybe, I don't know if it'll be this week, probably next week, I'll tell you what I think is the single most dangerous thing in the hobby right now. Go to Whatnot any given night and watch these rooms that have 1,200 people, and they do 7-second sudden death auctions. And there's some people starting to finally do screen recordings, and they hold up a card. Hey, here's this, unbelievable card value. Go, go, go. And it sells for $300, and then somebody on TikTok will take it and post a comp. $71. Yeah. And I would love to see the back end because, A, I want to know how many of these things are being bought by their own people just to create a frenzy, cancel the sale tomorrow, it's over. But then, B, Whatnot is probably, if not the easiest, one of the easiest platforms to find in the hobby if you're new. You go in there, human nature, people get carried away and caught up in the rage. They buy that card, get it in the mail, and I got news for you. The majority of people do that are out of the hobby. They get once, they're burned by this so-called massive platform. I just think that's another area that does not get talked about. They have no
idea
enough.
What it's worth, what they're bidding on. They don't have time to process it. And we talk about comps, like we have a comp problem, like if you say breaking is, I don't know, half of the hobby or something like that, maybe half the, whatever, I'll just call it half for 40%. Well, nobody, until somebody develops an AI way, like nobody's recording comps on these very efficiently, like on the stuff that's getting open. And that stuff that's flying out at debut sports, man, I cook them many, many times. They, they're on Instagram. They're just like, send me everything you got over $100,000. And they scream as loud as they can for 7 seconds. The louder they scream, the faster it goes. And I've called them out 2 or 3 times because they're like, this card's perfect, it's great, and it shows up and it's like a piece of crap. And then they see the video and they give them the money back. But like you say, it's a bad experience.
Yeah. And I think we lose a ton of new people like that. Like I think that leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And if I can't go to the biggest platform and get some trust here, well, then what do I do? Like I think a lot of guys just leave.
Yeah. I mean, Whatnot's just in growth mode, man. They just don't care. It's like whatever, and it's double-sided, right? Like I decided, so I never broke before. I did a really terrible job, but I joined up.
It was bad.
It was, yeah, I know, it was really good. What somebody said was the best comment? I'll tell the audience just so they have some context. Joe Hollywood and I buried the hatchet. We did a break for Boston Children's Hospital. We raised $100,000. By the end of it, we had a Children's Hospital rep there who didn't even know what sports cards really were. And her name was B, and she did a better job breaking than I did. Let's put it that way. But I did see the power of Whatnot there. Joe had 1,200 people in the room. And before we even opened a pack, we had $5,000 of donations. So and then when I'm on the other side of it, it's like I started to sound like a car salesman. And I was like, oh yeah, bet on this pack. You're killing me here. And it's very interesting when you go on the other side, as you would know.
Yeah, which, by the way, there's another move I absolutely hated you for. You roasted Joe, and rightfully so. There's no big, and it's amazing to me. It does show you, though, that money means the most to everybody, to people behind the scenes. Because, like that guy, talk about the most fraudulent upselling of crap in his streams. But look at, like, Brandon Steiner's over there. Look at all these companies that partner with him. I'm thinking, I'm glad you gave money to the hospital. Like, I can overlook that event, but why can we not have some integrity when you sell on a weekly basis?
Yeah,
and your boy Jeff was there. Wasn't Jeff involved too with that?
He helped us promote it. Promote the show.
Oh boy,
we may do another show with me.
Just donate the money and do it with me. How about that? Just donate the money and do it with a non-scummy seller.
Come up to Beantown. We'll do it at Card Vault, and we'll do it. Now, the thing I've realized about Joe, one thing I got wrong, like the crimped cards, I got wrong. That was correct. Like how they came.
Yep.
And he was on hour 24. I don't know if you've ever broken for 24 hours straight. You may have.
Never.
But never. So, he's cooked and he didn't realize like what is happening, what's up and down. But what I've realized about Joe is he's got like a passionate audience that he entertains. He's just got a way, like a forget about it, like way about him. And if you're new, I guess I feel bad, but you're like paying for the look and the entertainment,
Oh boy. I tell you, this is a tough listen. Oh, man. I get what you're saying. I'm all about that pay for entertainment. But again, when people are propping that crap up, it kills me. Like, because again, I think that's negative too. Is it a good thing that a hospital got $100,000? Of course. But you three guys could cut $100,000 between the three of you and donate to charity anyways. You don't have to also make this big thing. And the fact that
Right.
it's built on somebody who has done this for years and been a predator of talking, oh, I don't even know what that's worth, but it's so much, so the guys are going to go buy another pack that's overpriced. I hate that.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if he does evolve over time, the way he communicates.
No way.
but
He's
it's
making
just-
too much money. No, why would you? And this, the perfect thing about this hobby for guys like that, you can do whatever you want and there's never any consequences. Even Rick, you said it yourself, Probstein is going to end up on eBay or somewhere else. He's going to be fine. In no world do I think this has a real financial impact on him, and it doesn't matter.
Which
I hate.
Joe is a good guy, though. I have gotten to know him. Like, he's a
Maybe he
good
is.
human being.
No problem. I
You don't
have
like
nothing.
the tactics.
I don't like that. I say the same thing about Jeff all the time. Though. I think Jeff if Jeff was in an elevator with my wife and something happened, okay, no problem. I'm not worried about Hannah for any second of the day. But I hate how he does and how he overlooks stuff and how he will overlook Whatnot controversies because he's paid by Whatnot and how Joe will prop up and do these sales. Fantastic that if he saw Theo get away from me at a park, he would go pick him up and bring him back to me and safeguard my kid to walk him over.
That's fair.
But why can't you do both? That's my problem. Because this hobby allows it. That's why.
Yeah, it is true. It's true in any industry.
Sure.
If
And I don't
you're
want
the
you to sit here and
rainmaker-
drill your friends. That is the problem I have. I think it's great, the Children's Hospital thing. My next question would be, why can't you just do it with some stand-up people?
I'm going to do it with other people, too. I'll do it with you. It'd be fun. We'll buy some old wax.
It'd be great.
I don't
The
want
next one
any
you
new
do is
stuff.
with you're going to do the next one with these debut guys that you rip all the time. That'd be perfect. This is just your redemption tour.
Could you imagine? I'll have to bring, like, my headphones.
Yeah, just on there yelling. All right. Anything else on your mind? I know I had a couple topics. Those are the few things I want to touch base on. Anything else pressing with you?
No, I think that's good. I think I want the audience to think about our space here. It's like Instagram is a noisy 100,000 collectors. We're really noisy. We see everything every day. And eBay is like another extension of that. But like, I said this to somebody the other day, 99% of sports cards that have ever existed will never be graded. And you have to think of it like the hobby's just so much bigger. Like I run into people all the time. They have no idea who Jeff Wilson is. They're just like at the LCS. So like we get caught up in this stuff, but some areas
It's a small bubble of it. Yeah, I think is a great thing. I do appreciate that. That's why, too, I'm like, man, some of the outrage here, it's like, I don't know, I'm kind of talking into an echo chamber. Like, the people who are listening still know
It's
how I
important
feel.
to talk about the prices because we're wired in. We're the experts, right? So we should understand what's happening. But even experts get things wrong, so especially timing.
Last question, because I don't know if you can talk about this at all. Can you talk about what you're actually doing with Fanatics? Like, I know you changed your LinkedIn, that picture, or is that kind of off the table?
I mean, I'll talk about what's public.
Okay.
I think what ended up happening there was I got close with the executive team like early last year, specifically, Michael Rubin and others. And we had several meetings where, had ideas and concerns, and I just I was critical of them last year. And I was actually
Yeah, your Instagram was a hit
impressed.
piece.
Yeah, and then I worked pretty publicly on a project for them, the Museum of Greatness at Fanatics Fest this past year, because I've got an audience and they have cool vintage stuff and wanted to display things. And then it came to a point where it's kind of like we'd had 2 or 3 dates, and it was going okay, and we decided to get more serious. And now I'm working with the growth team on initiatives that will bring new customers into the hobby, and specifically some of the Fanatics assets like Live and Collect and things like that. But helping them, because I'm a collector and I'm also a vintage collector, which is very different and weird. And I think it's a valuable perspective. So, yeah, I put that on LinkedIn. I got roasted for that. But I am the type of guy, I want to be forthright about what I'm doing. I don't want to do this in the shadows. But it's been awesome, and I expect I'll continue to do that for a while and do more.
Cool. Yeah, like I said, I think as outspoken as you were, I do think at least you face the noise here. And even like that, I'm not trying to crap on the people you've done business with, but it would be tough for me to sit here and listen to, hey, this guy's a great person or that guy's great. I think the pushback is necessary, but no, I'm glad you came on. So there you go. You filled the shoes of Jesse fairly well. He wears a 14, so you filled about 80% of it. So good deal.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, Nick Andrew, Boston Card Hunter. Check out his mild Instagram when you have some time.
You got it. Thanks, Mike.
All right, so there you go. Like I said, I know Nick is not everybody's cup of tea. I actually like him because I can go back and I'm like, the Joe Hollywood stuff I think is nonsense. The Jeff relationship has changed. I think that's kind of nonsense. Him being a sellout, but at least he will talk about it. I do like the fact that he will talk about some of that stuff. So yeah, anyways, I want to at least have the conversation. I was going to talk Stafford and some individual stuff. It's tough to go back. We're just going to do mailbag and be done. I will say a couple little prompts. Tonight we're breaking live on Fanatics Live. All week we'll be breaking on live. We're back to eBay Live on Sunday. And the biggest eBay thing we're doing over on eBay Live is December 5th and 6th, Friday, Saturday. We'll be in Richmond, Virginia at the DC Sports 87 at their warehouse. We've got like $500,000 of inventory pulled. There's a Michael Jordan star rookie. There's a Luka NT RPA. There's a Mahomes at RPA. There's some wild, wild stuff. We're starting everything at $1. eBay's going to promote the crap out of it. So are we. So I would say, like, mark your calendars for that. 2.5 weeks from now, or less than 2 weeks actually. A week from Friday, we'll start. We're going to do. I think we may switch it up. They emailed, so we're going to see. We may do basketball Friday. But either way, one night will be basketball, one night will be baseball, football. So we'll kind of figure that out as we go. Real quick then, just to the mailbag, then we'll be done. Jen asked about Topps Black and White. We never got solicited. It was still an online exclusive, and we never got any access to it. So I got none. I think Alex made a video about this too, that it just came out, sold out, they didn't get any. So, yeah, sadly, we got nothing. Chris G., do you think the rise in repacks and companies like Arena Club have caused the spike in GOAT pricing? Here's my only thing. Some of the GOAT stuff is like, there's 86 sales of a Griffey PSA 10 upper deck card. I don't see I maybe they're out there buying ones and twos, but they're not doing a ton of repeat grails, so I don't know. Does it play a little part? Yes, but I don't think it plays a major, major part in it. So I don't know. I think less than most people. Kelly Malone has made this complaint before. Painter's tape and a card sleeve on your cards. Stop scotch taping stuff that he has to rip through. I got you, Kelly. And then HGH, our boy Hayes Chandler Hudson. I love the look of SGC slabs and hate that they have fallen off so abruptly in value. Is there any saving SGC, or is this collector or PSA's plan to just phase them out gradually and only have PSA? I wish PSA would adopt the SGC slab if they're going to phase it out. I like the question. Here's the thing. They're not going to adopt a slab because I think the majority of people like a PSA slab better. PSA is one of our biggest sponsors here. They know this, and I've said this here. I actually still like the look of SGC better than PSA. But PSA has the resale value. You cannot change that slab, and they never will. That has become the most synonymous slab with value in the hobby, so it's never going to change. I mean, they've talked about them being the boutique-style slab. I guess they're going to continue with that. I don't know why they would phase them out totally. So I don't think that's going to be the case. I just think you'll see people be selective with it. Like with me, right now I still use SGC for the 4 or 5 sets I have. And there's a couple sets I'm working on that are all raw. Once I finish them, I will send them to SGC, slab everything, have it be totally uniform. But anything we break and grade immediately, or anything I buy raw and I'm going to grade to flip, it goes to PSA. Like, I know it's a couple days longer now and it's a couple dollars more expensive. It doesn't matter. That's where the value is. And it's not close. And again, people will argue this point. Some people, the most important thing with the grading is transparency, or the most important thing is the look of a slab, or the most important thing is this or that. The most important thing with grading is resale value, period. You don't have to agree with that. That's just the case. PSA sells the best on the secondary market and has for the last 6 years. That's it. Like transparency, cool, Beckett gives you subgrades. Nobody cares about Beckett anymore. The look of a slab, I love SGC, sure, but SGC, even at its height a year or two ago, was never touching the value of PSA. That's another one of those. You don't have to agree with it, but just understand that the market does. The market has set that is the standard. PSA is the absolute best value for the slab. You get the highest resale value, and that's what's most important. So the registry is great too. Like, they have a lot of other great features, but that is first and foremost the biggest thing we want with a grader. So yeah, I think SGC is still going to stick around. I mentioned this on the show recently, and I did it again this weekend. I still am going out and actively buying like Griffey and Brady refractors, even some Larry Bird refractors that are in SGC holders. I bought a Griffey this week. The comp as a PSA 9 was about $200. It was a 97 finest, I believe, maybe 98. But just for round numbers, it was about $200 as a PSA 9. I got the SGC 9.5 for like I'd have to look, $130, $140. Apples to apples, I would pay more for an SGC 9.5 than I would for a PSA 9. But the market will not. So I'm able to get a card I would rather have and a holder I like. And I think there's a weird value right now in SGC. And maybe we rebound and say, hey, yeah, they're smaller now, they're not grading as much, but like maybe this caveat starts to come where people really go back to it. They are not right now. So I would say if you're looking for PC stuff, I would look. Like we said last week, Happy John did the same thing with the Jonathan Taylor. I think there's a real chance to buy stuff you want in an SGC holder right now for a crazy discount. So there you go. Obviously, as a holiday Thursday, I'm not sure if we're going to do another show this week. We're going to have Cut the Nonsense live on Wednesday night on YouTube, me, Joe, and Danny. We'll get the link up so you can follow there and you can actually see when we go live. I'm not sure if there'll be another podcast this week, though. I'm thinking probably not. So me and Jesse will be back together next Monday, but we'll have Cut the Nonsense on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. We'll post it up today so you can actually be notified when it goes live. We'll have the link to StreamYard, so if you want to call in and actually debate, argue, talk, whatever, while we're live, we'll let you call in as well. So that'll be Wednesday night. And then we got Alex with Hobby Handbook. We got Gordy Bonkard talking vintage this week. We've still got Doug doing, what is it? Is it Nonsense on Ice, Rebecca? I think that's the name of it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Doug will be talking Nonsense on Ice. So we got a bunch of stuff. Adam Palmer with the daily stuff too. So yeah, make sure you're checking out all the socials. You can keep up with our stuff there. I think that's everything. Anything I missed? Are we supposed to do any sponsor reads that I forgot about organically to incorporate, Rebecca?
No, that was pretty good for what's needed. Yeah.
All right, good deal. We'll be back, like I said, Wednesday night, and then we'll see you guys on this podcast next week, probably Monday. See you then. Goodbye.